You were fighting in ONE FC, which is a big Asian organization.
Yeah.
It's like the Asian version of the UFC.
Yeah, so ONE FC started in 2012, I think. Obviously, my contract with Bellator came up in 2013, and then there was that negotiation process, and obviously went south.
And what happened there? You were the champ of Bellator,
Yes.
and then all of a sudden you left, and everybody was like, so you're still undefeated, right?
I'm undefeated, 18-0.
So what the fuck happened that Bellator let the champion go?
That wasn't what happened. So
No.
And there's so much misinformation out there, and I'm popular, but I'm not that popular, and so lots of times my story gets mistold because I get spoken over by other people, right? And they don't hear what I say. So here's what happened. Obviously, so prior to me in Bellator, Hector and Eddie were the ones that left, right? Hector
Lombard and
Eddie Alvarez
were now in the UFC, both of them.
Both the middleweight champ and then the lightweight champ, and they both got taken care of pretty well. But if you remember Eddie's situation, I don't know if you remember this, he got an offer from the UFC, still under the matching period with Bellator. Bellator says we matched it, right? And in terms of what was in the contract, it was matched, right? But because Bellator has no pay-per-view venue, well, if UFC says we'll pay you on pay-per-view, and Bellator says, well, we will too. But that's not real life, right?
Right.
That's fictitious.
They've done 2 pay-per-view shows ever.
And they've never met any type of threshold. So, they say it matches, but it doesn't. I don't know if you remember, but they went to court over it. And the UFC won. Eddie got the right to. I'm sorry, he didn't win. He somehow did like a one more fight in Bellator, and then went to the UFC. I don't know exactly what the finality of that case was. But anyways, when that happened, his contract became public knowledge, right? And so a lot of UFC fighters were pissed because they gave him a whole bunch of money. And so when I was 12-0, I had my last fight in Bellator against Andrei Kreshkov, July 30th, maybe 31st of 2013, beat him up pretty good. And then I had a 12-month matching period. And so what was expressed to me by the UFC brass was that you need to get rid of your matching clause and we will make you an offer. But we will not make you an offer until that happens.
Get rid of your matching clause?
Yes.
How do you do that?
Well, here's how I went about doing it. Because it's 12 months, right? That's freaking, I'm not going to sit out for 12 months.
Right.
So I'd call Bjorn every 2 days and say, hey, Bjorn, I'm not going to resign. Please let me.
Bjorn is the guy who was running Bellator at the
Correct,
time.
yeah. And now he got fired.
Yeah.
But, and Bjorn had a terrible reputation, but I had a decent relationship with him. I never, butted heads too bad. So every 2 days I said, Bjorn, let me go. I'm not coming back. And then so everyone says, well, Bellator didn't want to resign me. Well, that's not true at all. Every 2 days, Bjorn, let me go. Bjorn, let me go. Because, I love challenges. What I love more than anything in the world is to challenge myself. If you look at my wrestling career, that's what it's all about. Taking the next best thing every single time. And so, so finally and all this time, Dana and the UFC is saying, we want Ben Askren, we want Ben Askren. I'm ranked number 7 in the world or what, somewhere around there, 12-0. And so I remember I was going to the Asian food store because I was going to make some tonka soup. And Bjorn calls me and said, you're released. Full, you're released. You can go. And I say, I appreciate that. So Friday morning, it was Thursday night, Friday morning, it's in November sometime, maybe mid-November. Morning, they fax over the release. My management faxes it to UFC headquarters, and all of a sudden that afternoon, there's a little scrum where everyone's asking Dana questions. And then Dana says, we're not interested in Ben Askren. And I said, wait, what just happened there? Right? Because for the last 3 months, they were saying, we're interested. Now I finally produced this full release from Bellator that I got, and now they're not interested. And so I said, wow, I just got caught in the middle of this. And
so was there a reason given?
Well, so then Monday, so then I say, F that. So I bought a plane ticket to Vegas for Monday. So that was Friday that happens. I said, fuck that. I'm going to Vegas. I'm not taking this shit, Right. So Monday, I buy my plane ticket to Vegas. I fly out to Vegas to UFC headquarters. I met with Lorenzo. Dana was on the little speakerphone dealie, and they offered me a Zuffa contract, but it would be confidential, and I would have to fight one fight for the World Series of Fighting, which is well, that's bizarre.
What?
Yeah. And they
one fight for the World Series of Fighting. What was their relationship with the World Series of Fighting? The World Series of Fighting was like a feeder organization at that time.
Something, yeah. I mean,
in a way.
Yeah.
Because Marlon Moraes, Justin Gaethje, both those guys came from champs over there to the UFC.
I think the relationship is very hazy between the old World Series of Fighting and the UFC because there was also people that went the other way, right? Andrei Arlovsky gets dropped from the UFC, goes to World Series. Anthony Johnson, boom, all these people.
Yeah.
So they say one fight, World Series of Fighting. We will pay. Zuffa will pay you, but you do one fight.
Okay.
I say, well, that's effed up, but okay. I said, I don't think anyone's going to go for it, but I'll do it. So I leave, and about 6 hours later, I got a phone call and says that deal is no longer available. We are not going to make you an offer. Yeah. So, wow.
And you have no idea why?
Well, here's my guess. I've never got to sit face-to-face with Danny and say, what was your problem with me? I think there's 4 things in my mind. Number 1, he didn't really like me, stemming from I called him out on the steroid thing, where he said it's impossible, and this is where our disagreement, it's impossible to test all UFC athletes. And I said, well, that's not true. USADA does it all over the world for all kinds of athletes, right? You can do it. It's just expensive, but let's just call it what it is. You're a private business. You don't have to do drug testing. It's
obviously they do it now, so you were right.
They do it now, yeah.
They do it through USADA, so you were totally right.
Yeah, so I was correct. But that was, when Dana is wrong in an argument, and he's got this huge army that follows him, and he said, I think his quote was backwards, I'd rather watch flies fuck than Ben Askren fight,
I think he said something like, Ambien takes Ben Askren to go to sleep.
Yeah, there's a few of them. So the personal attack started, right? So that's number 1. Number 2, my fighting style is not highly attractive. But I also think that's a little bit of fake news, because if you look at George St. Pierre's, consistently, now obviously McGregor's trumped him, but only a couple times. But if you look at consistent basis, George St. Pierre is the number 1 draw of all time. He heavily relied on takedowns and ground and pound. Yeah. I mean, he didn't have a finish in like 5 years or something.
Well, let me say what my take has always been on you and that style is that it's important and that it really works.